So I have a book summary, that the deepest well by Dr. Nadine Burke Harris, right? So the core message is what Dr. Burke Harris unveils the hidden connection between the adverse childhood experiences, ACEs, right? A long-term physical and mental health, urging both society and medicine to radically shift, how we understand illness, healing and resilience, right? ACEs here are more than emotional scars. So ACE includes abuse, neglect, substance abuse, parental mental illness, divorce, and here incarceration, right? So these experiences biologically alter brain development and stress response systems, right? So increasing vulnerability to chronic disease and mental health issues, right? So toxic stress is the silent killer. Toxic stress, unlike normal stress, is sustained and unchecked. It leads to high cortisol levels, right? So here chronic inflammations and breakdown of body systems like heart, lungs, and immune systems, right? So the ACE scores predict future illness. The higher your ACE scores, the greater your risk of diabetes, heart disease, asthma, depression, anxiety, PTSD, risking behaviors like addictions and suicidality, right? So here a score of 4 plus dramatically elevates these risks, right? So here early detection, detection and interventions are essential. Pediatricians, and educators must screen for ACEs early. Integrating trauma-informed care systems can prevent long-term damage and foster resilience. Healing is possible, right? So loving relationships, community supports, and a stable environment buffer the effects of toxic stress, right? So tools like therapy, sleep, exercise, mindfulness, and proper nutrition are critical pathways to healing, right? So health is biography, not just biology, right? So medicine must move from asking what's wrong with you to what happened to you. Our personal stories are deeply intertwined with our physical health outcomes. Call for societal transformation. Dr. Burke Harris, champions universal ACE screening. Health, education, and policy must become trauma-informed and focus on building resilience. Powerful quotes is what here. That powerful quotes is here that exposure to trauma is not the exception. It is the rule. Our biology, doesn't have to be our destiny, right? Our biology doesn't have to be our destiny. The single most important thing we need today is the courage to look, this problem in the face and say, this is real, right? This is all of us, right? So here, this book just a call to action. It's a map for healing generation. So here, next point is what? That brain development, it's rewired. Early trauma like neglect, abuse, or parental instability impacts how the brain grows. The amygdala, fear centers, becomes the overacting, while areas for reasoning and emotional regulations like prefrontal cortex can underdevelop. Second point is what? Chronic stress becomes toxic. Children facing adversity without consistent support experience toxic stress. Unlike regular stress, this kind doesn't turn off. It floods the body with cortisol and other stress hormones over long period. Third point is what? Body systems breakdown. Constant stress leads to chronic inflammations, which weakens the immune system. Over time, it raises risk of heart disease, diabetes, asthma, and even certain cancers, right? So here mental health takes a hit. Adults with high ACE scores are more likely to struggle with depression, anxiety, PTSD, addiction of destructive behaviors, right? So next point is what? Health is personal history. Illness isn't just about genetics, it's about experience, right? So medical professions are shifting from asking what's wrong with you and what happened to you. Healing is real and possible, right? Stability, therapy, mindfulness, community, and love help rewire the brain and repair the body, right? So these factors turn stress response systems down and help rebuild resilience, right? So here the next point is what? That the hidden link between childhood and lifelong health. So here Dr. Nadine, pioneering pediatrician, opens the book with a powerful realization. The symptoms she was treating in children, growth delays, asthma, behavioral issues weren't just isolated medical conditions. They were the biological echoes of trauma. Her clinical work led her to the groundbreaking science of adverse childhood experience, ACEs, which revealed that early life adversity can literally rewire the brain and body, right? So increasing the risk of chronic illness, mental health disorders, and premature death. So here science meets storytelling. What makes the deepest well so compelling? Is it fusion of rigorous science with deeply human stories? Dr. Burke Harris shares her own journey of discovery, including the case of Diego, a young boy who stopped growing after a traumatic event. Through such cases, she illustrates how toxic stress, alters the brain architecture, disrupts hormonal balance, and triggers chronic inflammation. These changes can manifest decades later as heart disease, diabetes, depression, and more. Toxic stress is what the silent epidemic. Unlike here everyday stress, toxic stress is intense, prolonged, and unbuffered by supportive relationships. It floods the body with cortisol and other stress hormones, damaging the immune system, cardiovascular health, and even DNA, right? Deoxyribonucleic acid, what we call it, DNA, right? So here the book explains how the ACE score, measure of childhood trauma, can predict future health risk with starting accuracy. Score of 4 or more significantly increase the likelihood of serious illness and risky behaviors. So breaking the cycle interventions, that heal. Dr. Burke here, doesn't stop at diagnosis. She offers hope, right? Anticipation, expectation, right? So the book here outlines practical strategies to reset the stress response and promote healing. Mindfulness and meditations, can calm the nervous systems. Therapy, especially CBT and trauma-informed approaches, sleep, nutrition, and exercise to obviously restore physical health, supportive relationships, and community care to build resilience. So here she advocates for universal ACE screenings in pediatric care and calls for trauma-informed practices across healthcare, education, and society and social services, right? So here a shift in perspective from what's wrong and what happened. One of the book's most powerful messages is the need to reframe how we view illness. Instead of asking what's wrong with you, physicians and caregivers must ask what happened to you. This shifts acknowledge that biography, not just biology, shapes our health, right? A call for systematic change. Burke here urges institutions to recognize trauma as a public health crisis. She calls for coordinated efforts across medicine, education, and policy to address ACEs at their root. Her vision is bold: a society where every child is screened, supported, and given the tools to thrive, right? Memorable quotes is what exposure to trauma is not the exception, it's the rule. Our biology does not have to be our destiny. The single most important thing we need today is the courage to look this problem in the face and say, this is real, this is all of us. So here where to get the book? You can purchase that book, The Deepest Well, on platform like Amazon India, Flipkart, and Snapdeal, right? So here it is available there. Paperback, Kindle, and audio books, right? So there is a multiple audiobooks here formats and as well. I have my own YouTube channel, right? So there is a particular audiobooks as well. So you can just go and just watch the whole whole channel, because this channel is totally customized and people are watching it. That's my initial channel and literally I'm trying my best. So yeah, I hope you like it.